Hey, what's going on everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Star Wars Coffee, where in today's episode, we're going to be taking a deep dive into the second issue of The Rise of Kylo Ren. That's today here on Star Wars Coffee.
I have spoken.
Hello there to all of the returning subscribers, but if you're new to the channel and you're just finding Star Wars Coffee for the first time, be sure to always hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and turn on that notification bell. And don't forget to check out Star Wars Coffee on Twitter and Twitch. And don't forget to check out the official Star Wars Coffee merchandise. Links are in the description below.
Do it.
And now let's go to a galaxy far, far away.
This is the way.
So I know I'm a little behind on the Rise of Kylo Ren. I'm only now reviewing the second issue, and the third issue is already out. But I did review the first issue, so at least I got that out of the way, and that is on the channel. And that's in the Rise of Kylo Ren playlist, so I'll put that link in the description below and at the end of this video for you guys to check that one out. And then I will be getting to the third release of the third issue here at some point within this week or next week. So be sure to stay on the lookout for that. But what we're going to do today is take a deep dive into the second issue of The Rise of Kylo Ren, which I really liked. I think I like this one better than the second issue, just because it's less of a past and it's less right after the destruction of the Jedi Temple, and it gets more to the heart of what this is supposed to be about, which is the rise of Kylo Ren. So I think by that standard it's a better comic, but I still highly recommend checking this out as it is really, really good. So this story opens up with Ben already with Snoke, and it's very apparent that Ben is clearly still nervous as he stutters at times when he's talking to Snoke. For example, when he's like referring to, but you were asking about the Knights of Ren. You know, Snoke says that, and Ben still stutters saying, I think I could learn from them. So clearly he's not still set in his ways. He's made this decision, but what Charles Soule did really well is he was still able to capture the conflict between Kylo even now. So he was never fully embracing the dark side to the best of his ability. That's why he had to hinge his faith in Vader's mask so much, because he clearly couldn't commit to the dark side, knowing that he wasn't meant for it. So I think at some point Kylo clearly knew all of that, and he clearly wants to make a name for himself, which I find admirable, that Kylo wants to make a name for himself, not relying on his name. He's named after Obi-Wan, which he's never even met, and they reference Solo, which I also liked. They reference Solo when he says Solo isn't even Han's real name. So when Han was going to enlist in the Imperial Academy as a pilot, he's just says Han and he doesn't have a name, and takes his name and says Han Solo. So Ben clearly isn't happy to be related to all of these rebellion heroes, just because he's not going to be able to get that association for his work and his work ethic and who he is. He's always going to be introduced as this is the son of Leia and Han Solo, two famous rebellion generals, or he's the nephew of Luke Skywalker, the last living Jedi, and all of this. So he wants to make a name for himself, which is partially the reason I think he sought Snoke out. Ben doesn't know who Snoke is completely either. When Ben is with Snoke and he gets a transmission from Hux, Ben asks who Hux is, and Snoke just kind of brushes it off, saying, you know, you're not the only person I talk to, all of that, and deceiving Ben, continually manipulating him into just taking this facade that Snoke is of this mentor that can help Ben realize his true potential in a way that Luke can't, type of deal, which is the way Ben's been bought into this whole charade. Is he just believes that Snoke's going to be able to help him in ways that Luke can't. So it's very similar to the way that Anakin kind of went with Palpatine rather than sticking with the Jedi Order, because there was this thing that he wanted to learn that he knew he couldn't learn from the Jedi. So he's going to another mentor to try and learn these things, because these are very self-centered characters during their turn before they come back to the light side, which is a great mirroring of Anakin and Ben Solo. I've always thought that they mirrored each other really well, and I really like the way that Charles Soule is able to really capture the essence of who this character of Kylo Ren is in this comics, and I can't appreciate that enough. Another reason that this is one of my favorite comics. When you analyze it like this, it's so great to see. It's a fun read, and then when you really do a deep dive into it, it just gets that much better and much more richer. And I really like the line where Snoke says he wasn't born Snoke, but he became Snoke. And this is obviously true because Snoke is Palpatine. Palpatine made Snoke, and Snoke is the second facade after Senator Palpatine, who was the first facade before his true identity of Darth Sidious. So Palpatine is really the master puppet master, which is just such an underappreciated thing about Star Wars and about the Skywalker saga, is the character of Darth Sidious and how he was able to manipulate all of these pieces for such a long amount of time. And the other thing I think is really great is Ben clearly knows that he's been thinking about this. Charles Soule, I should say, has done an excellent job portraying Ben to know that he's been thinking about who he would be if he wasn't this type of Jedi and if he could pick his own name. And Snoke has been very encouraging to this, telling him that children's thoughts are pure, they do not practice self-deception, they are who they are, which is trying to hinge on the fact of and intrude on Kylo's perception that when he thought of this, this must have been who he really was and not who he's been trained to be type of deal, which is just more string pulling by Palpatine in the form of Snoke, which is just really well done actually, I think. And so now Snoke sends Kylo to go seek out the Knights of Ren. In the second half of the comic, we have that flashback to Luke seeking out Jedi lore, and he's with a character that you might remember from The Force Awakens, Lor San Tekka. He was in the opening scene, he was the one who gave Poe the information that they needed, and we knew that Lor San Tekka had an association with Luke from other mediums around the time of The Force Awakens when that was released, and we see Snoke communicating with Ben while Lor San Tekka and Luke are talking about all of this. And I just think that's a really great thing to see, is even as Ben was such a younger child, that he still had this doubt about if this is the way it should be. He kind of has that sense of like Anakin does, where he should be able to be doing more. He should be able to fly, for instance, is what is the example that's been given in this one. And he never lets him do anything. But he's clearly still conflicted, as he's still answering, yes, Master Skywalker, so am I. He's glad he's there, because I think he really wants to be appreciated by Luke, and if Luke had given him a chance, just kind of like as if the Council had made Anakin a Jedi Master, the whole tragedy of the downfall of these characters could have been avoided. And so Luke and Lor San Tekka and Ben Solo go and find a lot of Jedi lore, and then we see the Knights of Ren come in and ambush them, as Ben and Luke both sense cold at the same time, which I think is just really great, because again, it shows that Ben Solo is still Ben Solo. He's not like just deceiving Luke this whole time and playing along. He's still very conflicted, and I think Luke knows that, as the Knight of Ren here makes it very clear that he has this dark shadow too that he's going to be mentioning later on. And Luke says that all of this belongs to him because he is the last of the Jedi, which means me. I love this line. It's literally this. It goes, "This is a Jedi outpost. Everything in it belongs to the Jedi Order, which, at the moment, means me. I am the last Jedi." And I really love that line. It gives me this kind of like feeling, this glimpse of the way the dialogue was written, back to that farm boy from Tatooine. Sounds like something he would tell Lars. Kind of like the power converters thing. He would say, "But it's mine," type of deal. And I just really love the character of Luke. I think that he's such a well-written character, especially in this series so far. Ben's still clearly choosing the light over the dark, as he's clearly been talking with Snoke earlier, like 10 minutes before they got to this Jedi outpost. And he says, "This is Jedi Master Luke Skywalker. He's a legend," as the Knights of Ren brush him off as an old guy. And then Kylo Ren, not born yet, predecessor to him is the original Ren. And he's clearly an overconfident guy. And Luke demolishes these Knights of Ren, while Ren cowardly watches Luke take all of them out. 7-on-1 doesn't really matter to Luke. He's going off on him. He's like, "I like those odds." Taking him all on, and then having Ben to look them up and see if he wants to be past his shadow, as the knight here cowardly doesn't even attempt to fight Luke, just says, "Yep, we'll leave." Because Luke, clearly still being with the Jedi Order, doesn't kill any of the knights. He just proves that he can take them on ridiculously easily, as he just has Ben Solo protect Lor San Tekka. So while Kylo has his saber drawn, he doesn't actually get to do anything. And he says he's going to leave, and so this whole flashback point of the comic makes sense to the first half where Luke is just trying to find out, or Ben Solo rather, is trying to find out where the Knights of Ren are. This gives the backstory to why he's trying to seek them out and why he thinks that they can help him. Because Ren here said that he was going to look them up. And Luke actually just brushes off the fact that he says he's got the shadow too. He says, but one more thing. You said you could sense the shadow in all of us. That's right, we've all got it. But you know your apprentice does too, right? Powerful. I can feel it. Better be careful, Jedi man. And then Luke clearly brushes it off. It's time for you to leave. I think Luke knows that, and he's just trying to downplay it because he knows that he's young. He knows that this is something that Luke went through. This is something that Anakin went through. So as far as Luke knows, this might just be something that Jedi have to go through and push past before they can really become great. And then the comic ends with Ben finding the Knights of Ren and then mentioning the name Snoke, which gives them an in and essentially a tryout to be part of the Knights of Ren. And at the very end, the last panel, the 3 surviving members of Luke's Jedi Temple have found Ben, and then that's where the comic cuts off. So next comic, we're going to be seeing that battle between them, and I can't wait to cover that for you guys, so be sure to subscribe and stick around for all of that. If you missed my coverage of the first issue, I'll have that linked right here at the end of the video. Again, it's in the description. But thank you guys for watching. May God bless you, and the Force be with you. If you enjoyed this episode, and frankly, even if you didn't, don't forget to subscribe. And if you want to help spread the word, please give this video a thumbs up and tell your friends to subscribe. Please check out the official Star Wars Coffee merchandise, and don't forget to check out all of the content playlists on this channel, including The Rise of Skywalker, The Mandalorian, and much more.